And welcome to episode 61 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean, editor-in-chief of the site. And I'm joined by Deputy Managing Editor Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back, Todd.
Thank you.
And how was your vacation?
It was good. I spent a lot of time fishing and kayaking. But it was funny. I had to outfit my kayak with a little bit of tech. So I got like a Bluetooth speaker that was water resistant. So I was cruising with some Jimmy Buffett on that. And I had I've looked at waterproof cases for my iPhone, but because I have the 6 Plus, it's a little big for that, when you add all that bulk. And I've seen the reviews on LifeProof Nude. I know the LifeProof Nude doesn't protect the display. I don't know. So anyway, I went with a bag, like one of those waterproof bags, and it was like $10, and it worked really well. Because I'm always afraid to take review units out there on the water.
Yeah,
but it was a good time. It was a good time. Good to be back.
Well, I leave for my vacation 90 days from today, so not that I'm counting.
Yeah, nice.
Not that I'm counting. Although there will be no kayaking involved.
Yeah.
But
it's lazy kayaking.
Well, this week, now you're here this week, but next week you're gone again.
Yep, gone again. On Monday, I fly to Berlin for IFA, which will be fun and busy. But I don't know if it's hard to tell going into these shows. But right now, I'm not so sure it's going to be as busy as previous years because, like we've said, Samsung already had its big unpacked press conference. But they do have another press conference there, so it's possible we'll learn more.
Right.
We already know the Galaxy, what's the watch called? The Gear S2 is going to be there.
Well, so let's just go over that. Who are the big companies that are having press conferences this year?
Right. So I have one of the big ones I'm looking out for is Lenovo Motorola. So that's going to be double up, and that's where we might maybe see like a Moto 360 in addition to. I don't think we'll see phones, at least not Motorola phones, right? Because we already got those. But maybe we'll see tablets and stuff or computers. Windows 10's out now. That's just a guess. Huawei has an event where I'm not sure what to expect, but maybe some new flagships or something like that. Sony has an event, so maybe we'll see the Xperia Z5. I don't know. It might be too early for that, but remember the Z4 wasn't that much of a flagship, and the Z4V for Verizon is, so it's possible to see that. In addition to other sort of mid-range phones we've seen rumors on. Who else do we have on deck? Obviously, Samsung has its press conference. We have ASUS. We have Acer. So there's a lot going on, and that's in addition to PepCom, which is one of the nights where sort of you get accessories, like maybe a phone case maker has something new, or you see like a new drone or something like that, which is always a fun event at CES. And then obviously some things in between once the show floor. But IFA is I believe it's the world's oldest radio show, and so it doesn't just include phones and tablets, although that's what we're there for. It also it's a big show for things like ovens and refrigerators and all kinds of stuff like that we don't ever see. But
right now, this is for those that have never gone to IFA or have not heard of IFA before. It is the European version, basically, of CES. But as Todd said, it actually predates CES.
Yeah.
But yeah, now the one thing I'm not clear on is I have not been there. Is this strictly like press and buyer focused like CES is, or is it open to the public?
I believe it opens to the public, but after I leave. So right. I think there's these the press and buyer kind of days. So it's not like jam packed with people when I'm there usually. In fact, the show floor usually opens sort of towards the end of our trip because we have so many press conferences and things that are ongoing. They don't necessarily use the conference hall all the time, although I'll be there a lot, but the events are sort of all over the city. So lots of taxis and stuff for this event.
Right now, of course, the big question, how much bratwurst do you consume while in Berlin?
It's like every meal, a lot of it.
See, to me, that sounds like, a happy place.
Yeah, it's great. The food is awesome.
I am a bratwurst fan.
Yeah, me too. It's up there with Barcelona, which is Mobile World Congress for food. I mean, you go back and forth on which one you like more, but I don't know.
Well, at least it's not October, so you won't be in the midst of Oktoberfest.
That's right. Although that would be fun.
Well, we have a couple of questions regarding IFA here. We have one from Jasper Rex. Do you think the Nexus phones will be announced at IFA? Also, do you think it will be running Android M? Well, I think Android M is a given.
Yeah.
I think, though, the announcement window is really up in the air right now.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's not typically like Google to use IFA for this for those announcements. But I mean, you know, you think the rumors are LG and Huawei, and they both should have events. Rumor has it LG's event though is more focused on TVs and stuff. I'm not so sure we're going to see a new LG phone here. But I think Google will probably have its own event for that, maybe in New York or something in the fall. If you look to last year, I think it was around October, we got the Nexus 6 and Android Marshmallow 6.0. Yeah, I think we'll see that. Certainly.
Yeah. And we have a question from Sachin Bahal that kind of ties into this with Android M. What was each of your predictions as the name for Android M, now called Marshmallow? So I'm going to go off IFA for just a second because I did want to address this this episode. I hate the name Marshmallow. I've never been a fan of the word marshmallow to begin with.
Yeah,
it's not a word that I like. As for what our personal predictions were, I really was believing it was going to be Milkshake.
See, I wasn't as convinced with Milkshake. I know a lot of people were because that guy had, I think it was during Google I/O, his Android Wear watch face was a milkshake. But then he was like, "Oh no, it's just teasing."
Well, no, my belief in Milkshake goes way further back.
Way further back. Yeah, I know. Milkshake seemed really plausible. I think I was sort of in the Marshmallow camp, but I don't know. I don't remember. I was on vacation last week when Sean told me about this, and I didn't see his text till 2 days later. So I was sort of like, "Oh, Marshmallow," and then it all kind of made sense. You know, it's like, 2020 when you're looking back.
Yeah.
But I thought there were a lot of rumors sort of saying that was going to be it.
Yeah, I try to leave. I try to leave everybody alone when they're on vacation. But I was like, if Todd does not know the Marshmallow name,
yeah,
well, he kind of needs to know that.
Yeah, and we were all sort of convinced for a long time about meringue, right? I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not a name that thrills me.
No.
But back to IFA. So we've got a ton of stuff that we are fairly certain is going to be debuted. Now, you said you weren't 100% sure on the Z5. Is there a reason that you think we might not see it there?
No, I mean, it's totally plausible, and I know a lot of rumors are pointing to it. To me, it just seems like, why have a Z4 just a few months ago and a Z5 now for a company that's struggling financially in the mobile business? It seems to make no sense to have done that. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see the Z5. I just don't think it's a smart move of Sony to be doubling back on back. I mean, that's expensive to do that. To research and develop and create all these different phones. Unless what you have is a Z5, that's essentially the Z4V. And if you remember, the Z4V for Verizon is basically the Z4 with a quad HD display. So I don't know.
Speaking of all the items that we may possibly see there, Sachin Bahal asks, what do you think will be announced at IFA 2015? Moto 360 2015, more upcoming Android Wear devices. I think Android Wear devices almost have to be there in some capacity, and we've heard rumors to a couple of them.
Yeah, it sounds like we'll see whatever the new Moto 360 is, in addition to possibly something from Huawei, ASUS. I mean, they all have their press conferences, and now will be the time to announce them. ASUS unveiled the Zen Watch last year there, so it sort of makes sense to do it again this year. Moto 360 is just going to be interesting because you would have thought it would have been at the Motorola event in New York a couple weeks back, but now it's sort of it's under Lenovo, right? Lenovo owns Motorola Mobility, so Lenovo could be the one that introduces the Moto 360, which is just a change of pace here. But
yeah, I was almost going to say Gear S2, but then I remembered, oh no, that's Tizen now.
Right, yeah.
Which actually leads us into a question from there's no way I'm going to pronounce this first name correctly, so I'll just go with Shaw. Is it a big deal that Gear S2 uses Tizen rather than Android Wear? I feel Samsung, I think every company needs to not be so reliant on Google, but going completely out on your own seems risky. And Tizen, I don't know.
Yeah.
Todd, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Tizen runs really well. It's smooth for, getting through the various onboard apps that were created by Samsung, so weather and maybe sports scores and stuff like that. Where it falls short, though, continually is on the apps available for it. So while you might have CNN and the ones that Samsung's partnered with, and I know it has opened up its developer program, it's going to come down to like what else can it do, because apps, it's always fallen short there, even in comparison to Android Wear and the Apple Watch. So that's what I'm most concerned about. But otherwise, Tizen's pretty sweet, especially on a watch. Like it runs really well.
Yeah, I just don't know. And once again, it's, to me, every operating system is about the apps, and unfortunately, it's going to be hard for any new operating system to break in at this point because of that.
Right, and that's where they all struggle, and why Samsung is, even months ago was calling on developers to come and build apps for this round smartwatch. That's how we started to learn more about the Gear S2 before it was even official. So maybe it has a bunch, of great apps to highlight right away, which would be cool.
Yeah, from 94 Keegan, Todd, what have you returned this week?
Nothing yet, because I didn't really buy anything.
Yes, but you see, when you were talking about the kayak and
I didn't return.
I was like, I have a feeling some of that stuff went back.
No, I did. Yeah, most of my stuff was for that. I bought like an anchor and all that. Not going to return. So
from Yaz Heart, will Samsung's Gear S2 have a physical turning watch face? That's been the rumor.
That was the rumor, but then we saw the images. Yeah.
Okay, we've lost Todd. Oh, there.
Yeah, we're going in and out. Weird.
Yep, you're back.
We had a thing yesterday where the product guy or whatever was wearing it, and it didn't look like it had the physical turning dial. So we'll have to find out.
Okay. Moving on here, we have a lot of IFA questions. We're going to try to get to them all. From Sachin Bahal. Hey, Todd, how does IFA compare to CES or Mobile World Congress? And which is your favorite to attend and why?
It's not as hectic. Well, it is very hectic because I'm going around the city, and IFA's the trade show is massive, so it's really hard to kind of get around, and the buildings are all over the place. Mobile World Congress is my favorite. I really like Barcelona. You get to the trade show floor, it's got 2 levels or 3 levels, and it's just a straight row, right? So you know where you're going when you get there. But that's the craziest in terms of crowds and all that. And then there's CES, which it's not the best. Not my favorite show.
Well, I think part of CES is Vegas.
Yeah, it's Vegas.
It's just there's not a whole lot, and nothing against the people of Vegas. It just doesn't hold a whole lot of allure to me. But
yeah. So I think Mobile World Congress is probably my favorite. And I love Barcelona's subway system, so I rely on that to get to and from the event from an apartment I stay in. So it's very useful, convenient, I should say.
Yeah, folks, we are not sponsored in any way, shape, or form, but Todd and I, 2 years ago, we found you that apartment on Airbnb.
Yeah. Yep.
We found an apartment on Airbnb that has just worked out spectacularly for him in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that also your first experience using Airbnb?
Yeah, that was my first and only time I've used Airbnb.
Yeah, I've never stayed in an Airbnb location, but I helped you book that the first time, and it seems to have gone amazingly well.
Right. Yep.
There's just something about staying in other people's places. I'm just like,
well, the thing is, background, it's owned by somebody from Airbnb, so it's not like, it's sort of just like a hotel room. It's an apartment.
Yeah. It's whatever it is, it works great. Let's see. From Brazen Franco, interesting question with the rumors of the Z5. How does Sony manage to release a new flagship every 6 months? Does its fan base suffer from buyer's remorse?
Well, I think it runs into that trouble, but I mean, I guess these companies can release phones as often as they want. It just, when you're acquiring all these components to do it, and you have to acquire, let's say, hundreds of thousands, millions if you're selling millions of phones. But I say hundreds of thousands because I don't know how many Xperia Z4s they sold. But say they bought millions of parts, and now how many of those are they not using? Like if they're upgrading the processor, then the Snapdragon 810s are gone, and if they're using an 820 now, they have millions of those, and it just seems like a waste of money. But usually, it seems like I hear that development times are about a year for these phones. So perhaps it had been in development, and they had these leftover parts from another phone, and they were like, okay, let's make a Z4, keep our name in the headlines. That's the thing too. You want to remain relevant, and keep releasing phones, but if you can't release a flagship, then you release something, and that's what you get when you have, for example, an M9 or you have a Z4, where they're just not as flagship as G4 or Galaxy S6 and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It's odd how fast they do release phones. It's like they don't allow any of them to really catch on in the marketplace.
Yeah, or they're like, okay, that failed, let's build another one, and then that's a lot of money. And that's where you have companies like Sony, where their mobile business is doing so bad that there's been rumors they were going to exit, but I don't think they are going to exit the market.
Well, we're going to move on to some non-IFA questions, although there will be more of them peppered throughout the episode, but we're getting a lot of questions about other topics. And another one from Brazen Franco. Note 5 S Pen, design flaw or user stupidity? Personally, for me, it's a design flaw. They should have made it impossible to insert it backwards like on the previous models. Todd and I actually had a long conversation about this morning.
We did. It's a little of both.
Yeah. it kind of falls on both sides of the argument. Yes, they should have made it impossible, but secondly, how many people in this world are going to do that? I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it seems like some journalists or whoever bought the device and accidentally did that, made this mistake and was like, whoa, I damaged the phone. And that's where it's a design problem, right? Like, okay, you should allow your users, or at least assume they're going to make mistakes. I mean, I've reviewed all the notes since the first one. I've never tried to insert it with the front, into the device. I always put the tail end in second. So that to me just seems weird and like, kind of, I don't want to say stupidity, but just like a user error, right? A very big user error. Yeah. But it should not break the phone if that user error happens. And in the case of, I believe it passes one sort of switch that damages the phone, and then it has the potential of getting stuck at the top. So yeah, it shouldn't have, it shouldn't fit directly like that. But again, you have the benefit of like having that click mechanism that people like, as opposed to pointing out with your fingernail. And so, I think there's lots of trade-offs, and how did Samsung mess that up? I don't know, but they did. Yeah,
it's an odd situation. I have not personally handled the Note 5, so I don't know what the likelihood is of you potentially putting it in backwards. I've had previous Notes. My mother is a big fan of the Note series. I don't, I've asked her. She said she's never, accidentally done it backwards. So,
yeah. We were saying, when Sean and I were talking this morning, when we first saw the reports, we were like, oh, do they mean that if you insert it sort of upside down, where you still have the tip of the pen going
right
up? Now that would have been crazy.
Yeah,
which I would have been like, wow, that's crazy. But to me, if you're putting the back end in, I mean, don't you remember how you took it out?
Yeah,
you pushed the back end in. Like, there wasn't a tip there, so I don't know.
From Titan Cronus, what microphones are you using? I am using a Blue Microphones Yeti with a shock mount, also by Blue, just a generic pop filter, and all of it's mounted on a Rode, RODE arm. And I believe you're using the Snowball?
Yep, and I think it's broken because it's not working properly. At least it might work for audio here, but it's not working properly with my computer.
Yeah. So again, not sponsored by Blue. We just happen to like their microphones.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of sales too. So I remember when I was buying this, you were like, "Oh, look at Blue," because I'm not a big microphone guy, but it seems to have worked well for me.
I've been using the Yeti for years now. I think I've had this Yeti for 5 years now.
Wow.
From Mr. Double Fist, can you share a 1+2 invite with me? We do not have any to just hand out, But if you head over to TechnoBuffalo right now, we are running a giveaway for 50 invites, which ends, I believe, on Friday.
Mhm.
And then OnePlus will be emailing them to the winners. So enter the contest and you might win one.
Mhm.
From Jesper Rex, what do you think of the camera hump on the UA Nexus phone? I think it's horribly ugly.
Yeah, it looks really ugly. I was trying to figure that out. Like, I don't know why it has to be there. But for me, the humps are always worth it. Oh, that sounds fun. If you're getting great pictures, right? Like on a Lumia 1020, that thing I think I have one floating around here. I mean, that thing had a huge camera bump. I had a huge camera bump, but it took great pictures. So I'm willing to work with these phones, like if it takes awesome pictures, then it's worth it. Like with the iPhone 6 Plus, right? Everybody's complaining about the ring and how it doesn't sit, or they did. Like that's silly to me. It's worth it.
Talking about all these humps has just got Black Eyed Peas now running through my
Yeah,
mind.
right.
Yeah. These lovely camera humps.
Yeah. But no, seriously, because the thing is, people say, they're like, oh, it's got this camera bump. And then they're like, when it doesn't have the bump, because the module's thick. So when it doesn't have the bump, that's because they made the phone thicker. And then people are like, oh, this phone's too thick. So it's like, you got to give and take here until the technology catches up. But for me, it's totally worth it. Or, you know what, get rid of the hump, make the phone fat, and give me a big battery, and then I'm happy.
Yeah, I would much rather have a bigger battery.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got a lot of other interesting questions here from Titan Kronos, and I am not positive what this is about. What are your thoughts on the Mezi 99 Classics that will be at IFA? I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know either.
If you want to submit another question and give us a clue as to what that is exactly, we'll be happy.
I don't have the question box open, so I don't know if it's messy, as in the soccer.
M-E-Z-E.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. From Sachin Bahal, off topic, how often do you guys play video games, and which systems do you guys have? I have all the current systems, plus all the last generation systems, and the Super Nintendo, and my Dreamcast, and my GameCube. And
Wow.
Yeah, I have a lot of gaming systems. Primarily lately, it's mainly been on the PS4 though, because that's why I got Destiny on. Destiny is about all I've been playing as of late. Which systems do you have again, Todd?
I have Xbox One and PS4, and I had the Wii U, but I sold it because I loved it, but I didn't play it as much as the others. My wife was like, "Get rid of one of them."
Did you sell it?
Yeah, I sold it. I didn't return it. I sold it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, because it was the Zelda edition version. In any case, I play the PS4 mostly because I bought Elder Scrolls Online on that, and it's the same thing like that South Park episode. It's the one all my friends got. All the staffers at TechnoBuffalo, most of us have PS4s. Some of us have both PS4s and Xbox Ones, but it's just what I end up on. I don't play all that frequently, though. I was on last night for a little bit. I don't know. At the end of the day, like you, I think I sort of kind of just want to get away from screens.
From Zilch, do you think manufacturers that just announced their devices, Motorola, Samsung, OnePlus, will make an appearance at IFA? Well, we know Samsung is there for sure, and I believe you said Motorola is there as well.
Yeah, with Lenovo. So
right.
They're there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see their phones sort of on display at the Lenovo booth. But and Samsung will definitely have their phones on display. But it's just that I don't know that there's going to be a huge phone focus from those companies. It's always possible. IFA very often is where we go, and Samsung will then announce some mid-range phones that are for the global market, or that are only going to launch in Korea or something like that. And so they're not American focused, and that's why they're announced abroad. Same thing with LG. Same thing with all these companies. So it's possible we'll see some other phones, just not flagships.
Yeah,
like iterations.
Yeah, I think most of the flagships have sailed. And of course, the other mainstay of IFA is probably next week we'll get the invites to the Apple event.
Right.
It amazes me that people don't realize what Apple's doing when they do that.
Mm-hmm. Trying to take the focus off everybody else.
Apple has come up with this amazing system where they send out their invitations during someone else's event so that they get in on the news cycle without paying to be at the event. It's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
But, oh, Apple. From Benjamin McDonald, what price do you think the new LG Nexus will land on? That is a really good question.
Yeah, I don't know. Depending on which specs you believe for. I mean, for a little while, it sounded like it was going to be kind of low end, and then now we're back up to like Snapdragon 808, which is cool. Like $300 to $400 range. I'd like to see that, and then we'll see the Huawei maybe a little more expensive, but that's purely a guess. Google kind of, I mean, the Nexus 6 came in a little expensive last year. A lot of people were like, whoa, but Nexus 6 has some pretty great specs, or did. Still does.
Okay. All right. So we got a follow up, and I'll link you because these are just super sexy looking. So we got a follow up from Titan Cronus about Meza. He says is actually the pronunciation. Meza is a Romanian headphone company that designs excellent wooden headphones that deliver amazing sound. They are releasing a, quote, flagship, unquote, pair of studio headphones by the name of 99 Classics to replace the old 88 Classics, which I have. We don't typically do headphones, but damn, those are nice looking.
Yeah, those look cool.
Look really awesome. You know, I've never tried wood headphones. I've heard they're amazing.
Huh. So they actually take advantage of the wood. It's not just sort of.
Yeah, they actually take it. From what I understand, it's just a better sound reproduction, and the wood is actually integral to the design.
Huh. Nice.
Yeah.
Try to find these guys. I mean, like I said, sometimes what happens is the show floor. I'd have to look at my calendar, but the show floor is not always open for the first couple days that we're there. So, you know, this company might be there, and we're on the grounds and we're walking around, but you can't actually like go to the booths. They're still often building the show while we're there.
Yeah. About once
weird shows where,
yeah, about once every IFA, you end up tweeting me a photo of something you see off in the distance that you aren't allowed to approach.
Right. It's usually just construction crews. So it's kind of a weirder show where, you know, for Mobile World Congress and CES, we get there. There's like a day or two for press, and then it's open. And this one, I think maybe it's open the last day we're there. So it's very different.
Yeah. From Shaw, which, sir, if you would send me a pronunciation of your name on Twitter of your first name, I would gladly start saying your first name, but I have a feeling I would absolutely mangle it if I tried. What do you guys think the major difference between the Moto X Pure and Play cameras will be?
I'm not sure that there's a huge difference. I've seen the early reviews that the Play is really good, and that's what Motorola promised for both. If there's any difference, it might just be in the sensor used in the modules. Might be a more expensive one in the Moto X Pure. But otherwise, I'm not so sure that that's going to be one of the differences. I think they didn't sacrifice there because in the past, consumers have and reviewers have sort of said Motorola falls a little short on the camera side. And this year they tried to change that. So I think they put the cost savings in other components. But I could be totally wrong. I don't know the modules that are used in both phones.
From Jesper Rex, which phone would you recommend for a heavy smartphone user? When I use my Note 3, I get it down to about 10% after 4 to 5 hours. I've been looking at the Moto Play X, but I'm not sure you can include rumored phones. Well, it sounds to me you just need something with a gigantic battery.
Yeah, I don't know about the Moto X Play could be the option for you if you don't need the processing power. So I think that's where it's going to save on battery life too. Otherwise, I would look at the Note 5 is a great phone. Our review is going to be going up in the next couple of days. You don't have expandable storage though, but I've found so far in my test battery life is okay. I'm getting through a day. It depends on how you use it. And again, we have the European model, so I don't have LTE running on it, which is also a battery drain. G4 is a great phone for power users that sort of want the extra battery. I mean, you can just replace it, and it has expandable storage. It really depends on what you're looking for in a phone, but I like those two a lot.
Oh, completely off topic, but I wanted to bring it up during the show. Todd, you're already familiar with this. The special event that happened this morning to TechnoBuffalo.
Oh, yeah.
For those that may not have seen all of us retweeting it, David Prowse, who is better known as the man who wore the Darth Vader costume, he was not the voice of Darth Vader. He wore the Darth Vader costume in the original trilogy. Mr. Prowse has been following John on Twitter for some time. And then sometime this morning, which since he lives in England was sometime during the day for him, let me find the exact tweet that he sent out. And of course, Twitter is not cooperating with me at the moment. Hold on, come on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there it is. Mr. Prowse said, "Where does Darth Vader get his geek/tech news? At John Ford Lakers and at TechnoBuffalo, of course. Hashtag Darth Vader, hashtag Lord Geek."
Pretty sweet.
So, although it does concern me, does this align us too closely with the dark side?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Are we cutting out the rebels from our reader base by aligning ourselves with the Galactic Empire?
Yeah. The Galactic Empire is a fan of TechnoBuffalo.
I know, and so I guess that means we also have to root for the First Order and the Force Awakens. But when Lord Vader himself, anoints you his favorite tech site, you gotta go with the times. Speaking of Twitter, we have a question coming in over there from KMax823. Sean Piani, what do you think of the Apple iPad Pro? I am not a fan of the concept of 12-inch tablets.
I got to see it before. I got to see why that screen real estate is needed. I am a fan if it's nice and thin and light, and I can use an external keyboard. And actually, like I've said in previous shows, if I can do work on it, like actual work, which I've tried to do on other tablets, and I mean, I have the Surface Pro 3 that I can do work on when I'm willing to put up with the keyboard. But but if I can do real work on it, then I'm all for that larger screen because it's perfect for throwing it in the bag and doing something. Otherwise, nah. But it's probably going to be expensive too. I mean,
it's going to be expensive. Yes, it'll probably pair with a Bluetooth keyboard.
Right. Yeah.
But at that point, why not just carry a MacBook Air?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm on a plane, I already have enough trouble finding a good home for a 9.7-inch screen, when I'm watching a movie. Mm-hmm. Trying to pop out this 12-inch thing around. I don't know. And this, we've heard rumors. We had other rumors today of who was it? Amazon and Microsoft. Both may be considering 12-inch tablets. I'm just not a fan of the concept in general.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Microsoft might do it right because I think they'll have like a detachable keyboard and stuff like that. And I know you said it's too big, but for people like me where I need a little more space to do work, and especially if Apple has the multitasking that Microsoft does, then I'm interested. But for me, I'm probably more excited about the Surface Pro 4. My only concern is that they're expensive, like very expensive.
Neil Sampat, thank you. He makes a great point. Didn't Darth Vader move to the good side after death? He did. You're right. He became a Force ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi, even though it was never David Prowse as the Force ghost, but it was Sebastian Stan as the Force ghost, and then they replaced him with Hayden Christensen. But you're correct. He went back to the light side of the Force. We're saved. We don't have to go with the Empire. Yay. Let's see. We've got a lot of other questions here from Brazen Franco. With Samsung dropping the ball on expandable storage and user replaceable battery on the Note 5, are there any other stylus focused phones I can consider to replace the Note line of devices? That's an excellent question. I'm not sure.
None that I've used, not stylus focused. But if you look at what LG does, they have their quick actions or whatever, I forget what it's called, and then you can use your finger for cropping or taking notes on the screen, or a third-party stylus. I mean, they're like $3 on Amazon, but nothing sort of as advanced as what Samsung's offering in the United States. Then you look at Xiaomi and other companies, I believe they have their own kind of devices. Not that I've used, so I can't really comment on them.
Okay, this is an interesting question. From Q Guy, I want to get a robot that I can use. What should I get? Well, it depends on what you want the robot to do.
I don't know. I saw on Reddit yesterday there was a robot that was purely used for taking off like noodles into a noodle pan.
Yes, I've seen that before. Yeah, it's being used. Yeah, it's being used in ramen shops in Japan.
Yeah, that thing was awesome.
Yeah, that's been around for a year or two now. It's kind of crazy. It seems to work perfectly. But I mean, of course, there's other robots that you can go out and buy now. Like the Roombas, the Scubas, and all that stuff. Most of the stuff from iRobot.
Right.
And see, that's always been my problem with the definition of robot in consumer technology, because so many of them are remote controlled devices, technically.
Right.
Like we had the digital presence robot in the office for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's considered a robot, but it didn't just move on its own.
Right. You controlled it.
Right. Now, iRobot, the Roomba I have, it goes off on its own and does its own merry little thing. Which is always so entertaining to my dogs. But what is this, Dad? Why is it doing this? From Nick Nair, do you think the iPhone with the Force Touch display will work with the supposed pin that should work with the unannounced iPad Pro? That's a whole lot of supposeds.
Yeah, that's too many for me.
Yeah. Look, just first off, the pin was a patent. So Apple patents lots of things. Almost every day there seems to be a new Apple patent. Does not necessarily mean it's ever going to be produced. The iPad Pro is also a huge rumor. All that being said, if the pin is real, yes, it probably would work with the Force Touch iPhone.
Yeah. But I don't think Apple's I would say I'm probably almost positive Apple's not going to design the iPhone's Force Touch to specifically work with the pen. I think it's supposed to be Force Touch as in your finger, as it is on the Apple Watch, as it is on my MacBook here, that kind of stuff.
From Sachin Bahal, off topic. I don't know if we even have a topic anymore. Is it worth getting an Android Wear device or get a Pebble Time? I already have a Nexus 6 and original Pebble watch. Honestly, the Pebble Time, which I am wearing, I like it, but I'm not sure I like it as much as the original Pebble. I do have to charge it more often. And the color screen doesn't make that big of a difference.
Right.
If you're happy with your Pebble, I would just stick with it.
Yeah, Android Wear is a lot different. I like Android Wear, but especially if you're using a Nexus 6, but I don't know, you're going to be charging a lot more. And I would obviously wait until the next bunch of devices are announced, probably next week. So yeah. I'm still on the Apple Watch, and I like it a lot.
From Tyler Eberhardt, how about the rumored BlackBerry Venice? Good idea. Excited for the keyboard. I think that BlackBerry still makes awesome hardware. That being said, it's been so long since I've used a physical keyboard, and I'm so used now to using an on-screen keyboard, I don't know how much of a difference that actually makes to me. But I'll definitely give it a try.
Yeah, I'm up for giving it a try. I'd love to use a physical keyboard with Android again. I don't think we've seen that since, like, oh man, I can't remember the old names.
Oh God!
I mean, there were a bunch back in the day.
Sidekick.
Oh well, yeah. Eventually, they launched an Android Sidekick. They had the Click, CLIQ. AT&T had that one that was just a square.
Yeah,
I would be all over that. And of course, the first.
Oh, and let us not forget the HTC Cha-Cha.
Yeah, that's right. Cha-cha-cha in some markets.
Yes, it depends on which market you were in, how many chas you got.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I think BlackBerry does a good job with that. So I'm interested.
That phone still makes me laugh. It's a Facebook phone because we put on a dedicated Facebook button.
Yeah.
That was so bizarre. Oh my.
Speaking of
let's see here. on down the line. From Sachin Bahal, off topic. I don't know why I keep bothering to say that. Will we be seeing more limited edition TechnoBuffalo t-shirts in the future? Also, I love the first and only one that you guys did back at the end of June, early July. It's great. Well, yeah, we love that shirt. It's a great shirt. If we're doing more limited editions, I know we've discussed it. I don't know where we are in the process, but there's a chance there'll be more limited editions. I just don't know when, if, how, or why.
And we still have our other store where you can buy the other merchandise, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
from Spreadshirt. You can still get our regular t-shirts. So yeah, there are still TechnoBuffalo shirts, but the limited edition shirt is done and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. I suppose I should address this question from Rodrigo Gary, since he has the Red Lantern logo, which means he could, shoot me with his rage at any time. Geek joke. Anyway, is the Uno Plus 2 as good as the first, or this time it get below the expectations? What is the Uno Plus
1 plus 2? I'm assuming.
Oh, there you go.
I can't see the question.
Yeah, he Uno Plus. Oh, there's too many names out there for me to have gotten to.
I know.
1 plus 2. So is the 1 plus 2 as good as the first, or this time is it below the expectations? I haven't gotten to use one yet.
Me neither, and I'm not interested in buying one this time. So
yeah, and that's not a slam on 1 plus. It's just simply we have too much to buy.
Yeah. I bought the one last year. I feel like there was a lot of hype around it, and I bought into the hype literally. And then this year, because I wasn't a huge fan, if you listen to the show, I wasn't a huge fan of the first one, so I'm kind of just like, no thanks. But some people loved it, so if you love the first one, might as well give it a try. Second one.
Well, we're going to close out with one more question, and then we're going to end this week's show. Quick housekeeping. I'm not sure if there's going to be a show next week yet, because with IFA going on, it's going to be crazy. Mm-hmm. And then the following week, if the Apple event is happening as rumored on Wednesday, we, of course, would not have the show on Wednesday. We would move to Thursday. But just keep an eye on the site for announcements of when TechnoBuffalo shows will be happening. From Alex Padilla, 1 plus 2 or Moto X style? That is a question I've been asking myself. And the reason I'm torn is because I'm on T-Mobile now, and if I buy the Moto X, I would not get Wi-Fi calling. That being said, I really want a Moto X.
Yeah, I think I'm going with Moto X style. I mean, I love the Moto G. So,
yeah.
And that's like not even.
Yeah, I think I've done the 1 plus thing, and again, we're not slamming 1 plus. It's just we did it. I don't know if we need to do it again.
Yep, that's how I feel. I like the customization options. I love Motorola's software. That's barely there, but just sort of adds to Android. Pricing seems right. Camera sounds like it's great. So
yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Well, that is going to bring this week's episode to a close. As I said, I'm not positive there will be a show next week. It depends on a lot of factors, with Todd being out of town and if I can get someone to sit in for him. And then the week after that is possibility of the iPhone event. So that show may move around, or it may not happen at all. We'll just have to see. Mm-hmm. But hopefully, we won't go 2 weeks without an episode. But as always, you can go to the iTunes store and search on the TechnoBuffalo Show, and we do appreciate if you rate and review us. That does help out the show. You can also find us on Pocket Cast. You can subscribe via RSS feed, or you can find us on the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Until next time, I'm Sean Ani. I'm the editor-in-chief of TechnoBuffalo. I have been joined by Deputy Managing Editor Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
Until next time, remember, Darth Vader loves TechnoBuffalo. Take it easy, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.